In October, the Egyptian president, Abdel Fattah el-Sisi, gathered more than 30 heads of state and presidents of international institutions for a peace summit in Egypt's new administrative capital. The meeting aimed to address the ongoing and distressing events in Israel and the Gaza Strip. However, despite the grand setting and high-profile attendees, no concrete solutions emerged. The region, already burdened by the horrors of war, faced a gloomy outlook as the summit failed to bring about positive developments or resolutions to pressing issues. Despite the collective efforts, the search for peace in this troubled area continued to prove challenging. In a big international meeting, the president shared an incredible plan to build a new capital in Africa not far from Cairo. This place is meant to be super impressive but also really expensive, potentially causing money problems for Egypt. Today in this video, we're exploring this city that's been under construction since 2016. It's often called the City of Records, and it's the dream project of Abdel Fattah el-Sisi, who has been the president of the country since 2013. He really wants to make a lasting impact, so he's been busy with a lot of construction projects, like widening the Suez Canal and building new infrastructure. Let's take a closer look at what's been happening. In Egypt, there is a massive undertaking, the creation of the world's largest artificial river. Amidst numerous significant projects, the construction of this new city stands out as the most ambitious. The primary goal is to address the congestion issues faced by Cairo, a densely populated megacity with over 22 million residents. Cairo experiences an annual influx of approximately 2 million people, straining its public services and resulting in chaotic urban development. The colossal pyramids of Giza, located 15 kilometers south of the capital, find themselves surrounded by the new emergence of new residential districts. This encroachment poses a challenge to the preservation of this historical site. To tackle these issues, the president made a noteworthy announcement in 2015, signaling a commitment to finding solutions for the burgeoning population and urban challenges in Egypt. Back in 2015, there was a plan to build a whole new city meant for about 6 million people, and it was supposed to be located 45 kilometers to the east of a major city. Fast forward just 2 years, and this unnamed city has completely transformed. A vast portion of the city has sprung up from the desert, with several remarkable buildings and structures covering an area of 700 square kilometers. That's like a real-life playground, 7 times bigger than Paris. And to get this, it cost an enormous amount, somewhere between $52 and $60 billion. Also in this massive area, you'll find the Church of the Nativity, which was opened in 2019. This cathedral proudly claims to be the largest in the Middle East, and that's not all on the religious front. There's also the Alata al-Alim Mosque, breaking records as the biggest mosque in the country and one of the largest in all of Africa. So it's safe to say, nothing here is too extravagant or colossal. It's a city of grandeur. The new city wants to be a global player, inspired by cities like Dubai. They're building a big business area with about 20 tall buildings, and the tallest one, called the iconic tower, will be a symbol of the city. It's a massive building with 77 floors and goes over 390 meters tall. This tower will have offices, homes, and a fancy hotel. It's kind of like the tall structures in ancient Egypt. Furthermore, in May of 2018, the big project was led and managed by a global consulting firm called Share and Partners for the design part, and a Chinese company called Sisi took charge of the construction. Now, this massive tower they're building is almost done and set to be completed in 2024. When it's finished, it's going to be the tallest building in Africa and one of the top 40 in the whole world. Pretty cool, right? But it's not just about being super tall. They're also putting effort into some pretty awesome cultural stuff. Picture this, a library with a whopping 5 million books. Another eye-catching thing is a grand opera house entirely made of marble. These places are still in progress or not open for business just yet, but they're gearing up to be some seriously impressive spots. In this new city in the desert, they're building a big road and rail system to make it easy to get around. They're also making a huge sports city with a massive stadium, lots of sports places, and homes for athletes from all over the world. It's called the Egypt International Olympic City. The city has a long-term goal to host the Olympic and Paralympic Games by 2036 to 2040, aiming to be the first African country to do so. The new capital will also have big government buildings, including the world's largest defense headquarters, even bigger than the Pentagon in the USA. They're building a fancy parliament and about 30 ministries from all over Egypt. Some buildings are almost done, and employees are already working there, like the Ministry of Tourism and Antiquities. People commuting from Cairo may get financial help, but even though many homes are built, they're often too expensive for most Egyptians, starting at $450 to $500 per square meter. But in this country, more than 1 in 3 people live below the poverty line, and things are getting worse because prices are going up a lot, more than 30% each year. This means most people can't buy as much with their money. A report from the International Food Policy Research Institute says that almost half of the Egyptians are cutting back on their food because of this. It's tough to imagine how millions of Egyptians can afford to rent or buy a place in the new capital city. The plan was supposed to help people, but now it seems like the ones buying property are mostly foreigners and they don't plan to live there. The president talked about getting money from different countries like the United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia, and China, but it turns out they were more interested in other things, like agriculture, so it's not going as planned. Also, in Saudi Arabia, they're working on this big project called Neom. It's like building a whole new city or even a region, super futuristic. But making Neom is costing Saudi Arabia a ton of money. Some experts say it might be several $100 billion or maybe even more than a whopping 1,000 billion. Now shifting gears to China, they promised to invest in Egypt's new capital city. However, they changed their plans. Instead of putting a lot of money into the project, they decided to focus mainly on building the business district. So things are evolving in these places. The Chinese Tower project involves numerous Chinese companies and workers, and it's a big deal in Egypt. To make this happen, the Egyptian government had to make sure they had enough money, basically opening up their checkbook. However, these huge investments don't exactly make Egypt's economy stronger. In fact, they've made things a bit shaky. The country's economic situation was already delicate, and now, with all these investments, Egypt's debt has shot up to more than 160 billion. That's a massive amount, and it's not doing any favors for Egypt's standing in the global market. The country finds itself in a bit of a weak position when it comes to international markets. Many experts question whether the state can currently pay back such a huge amount. Right now, the capital is slowly developing, but it hasn't fully come to life yet. Despite challenges, Alisi is determined to complete his project no matter the expense. In October, Egypt's president officially declared that he's running for a third term in the upcoming presidential elections. People who closely follow the country's happenings strongly believe he will win the election. And that's it for today. Thanks for watching our exploration of Sisi City. If you found this video interesting, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe for more intriguing content, and click the bell icon to stay updated. Share your thoughts in the comments below, and let's keep the conversation going. See you in the next video.